Yes, you read that title correctly. You are currently watching an entry point video in 2026, and I'm currently making one in 2026. Feels weird. Not bad, but definitely weird. This isn't a normal entry point video though, or at least not one that I would normally make. I was never one to make the lore videos going over kind of the story, because I didn't have a channel back when the story was coming out. I was actually like 12 around there when the game was originally coming out, and cutscenes and missions and such were actually in the process of releasing. And then afterwards, I didn't really feel like I had anything new to add to it. But recently, I got a random urge, not really caused by anything, but just kind of a random urge to go back and rewatch all the cutscenes just to see, do they still hold up? Are they like I remember them? And to be honest with you, a lot of them were a lot better than I remember them to be. If you know me and you've talked to me about the story before, because even though I didn't make videos on it, I definitely was, paying attention to the story. I was there when it was all coming out, and I think I'm pretty well versed in the lore at this point. Not that there's like that much to remember, but still, I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable. And unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of the story. I mean, I'm a big fan of the game, big fan of Sashado. But the story itself, I have definitely had a lot of issues with, and I've criticized pretty frequently. If you've talked to me about it, you'll know that I probably have a lot more negative things to say about it than good things. But at the end of the day, the only reason I criticize it as much as I do is because of the good qualities I see in it. I see Sashado as not just a developer, but a writer with a lot of potential, right? And like I said, going back to the cutscenes and rewatching all of them, there was a lot about it that I liked. So much so that I felt inclined to make this video. But yeah, I really just feel like there's, not so many places in the entry point story that are just completely off the mark, that make, absolutely no sense, like where Sashado was coming from when they wrote them. Or, I'm not saying like they should have just scrapped the whole thing. I just see so many places where it could have been improved. And to be fair, Sashado was also like 12 when they started writing a story, so I don't blame them too much for that. Like I said, big fan of their work. Been enjoying the new remake of Entry Point quite a bit. But yeah, I just really am hoping that when Operators eventually comes out and they start writing a new story, that they will hear, I tried to say hear and heed at the same time, and it sounded really weird. I hope that they will heed the criticisms that they've been given about their game. And I know they don't generally, like taking suggestions too much, which is fair because they have not had very good experiences the few times when they've directly interacted with the community. But still, I hope that they have, that they're at least somewhat aware of the things that people are saying that, that could be improved on, that, that we think would be interesting in the new story. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video as well. Not just because I thought it was cool to go back to them and why I was, impressed by a lot of them, but also just to go over, like, how they can build upon them for the future. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I think, we're just going to get into it. So the first two are the only two that I think are like unwatchably bad, like really, really bad. I really, can see the good in all of the other ones, except for these first two. So here's the first one. yeah, it's Departure. Um, the final one in the Freelance Heist expansion. Um, and once again, if you know me, if you've talked to me about the story before, you know that I am not a very big fan of the Freelance Heists. I think that they were a very rushed, last minute addition that really did not need to exist. And this cutscene is just the worst of the worst. First of all, it's so long. Like, I understand why, I guess, because it's supposed to wrap everything up, but like they kind of set themselves up for failure with that. Like, they had a lot to wrap up and not a lot of time to do it in because they only gave themselves 3 cutscenes and 3 missions, you know, which is ultimately kind of a problem I have with the game at large, which is that it is not nearly as fleshed out as it could be. And I'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, the Freelance Heist is really like the prime example of that because it's just so like, it's just so nothing. It's so hard to care about anything. And this last cutscene is just, it's definitely the worst of it because it takes itself so much more seriously than it should. And not that a story like this shouldn't take itself seriously at all, but it's just like the dialogue is just not good. Like the writing isn't good. The speech at the end from the freelancer, you know, whether or not you kill Harvey is just so ridiculous and like does not explain anything. Like this doesn't count as character growth. You know what I mean? The characters need a lot more time to have growth. Like even the characters in the Freelance Heist themselves should have had more growth to show us how they even got to that point. But the Freelance Heist was just tacked on at the end to show like, oh, this is how the freelancer became a freelancer. Whatever. First they were just doing shit with their friend and then they got betrayed and then they knew that they had to rely on themselves from now on. I don't know. I don't even think he says that in the cutscene. Like I'll probably be playing it in the video right now, but I don't even think he says those words. That would honestly have been a better thing to say than whatever he does say. Like, life is short, steal what you can. Like, it's not even a lesson that they learned from that. Like, they already knew life is short and to steal what they can. That's what they were doing. They were stealing what they could. They were tricking those people into helping them steal what they could. So it's not like he's learning a new life lesson or anything. He comes out of it exactly the same as he was before. And I understand it from some small part of me understands it because they obviously wanted the freelancer to be a super blank slate so the player could just put whatever they want on them effectively and make them basically whatever character they want to be. And a part of me thinks that is kind of cool, but at the same time it really doesn't work because it tries to force them into a box and it tries to force them into a box in like all the wrong ways and leaves all the wrong things blank. You know what I mean? Like if there's anything that's going to be like canon about the freelancer's personality, you know, I don't know. It's not a good cutscene, but like for even more reasons than just the dialogue. I mean, it's so long. Also, the music is literally just the same loop over and over. Like there's no progression or anything. And it gets really annoying because of how long the cutscene is. Also, just the concept of what they were doing. Like, I get the reveal that the broker wasn't real. That was kind of cool. I will admit, my young self watching that for the first time, I remember my friend was there, Sky, and we both watched it at the same time. We were like blown away. We were like, oh my god, this is peak media. And I'll be honest, it was a good reveal. It was a good reveal for what they were doing. It was executed pretty well with the, you don't have to worry about the broker anymore because he's not real. Sorry, my twig arms don't really resemble a gun that much, but it's the best I can do. But anyway, just the concept just didn't really make sense. I mean, there was so little character development in Harvey. Like, we don't even know how long Harvey and the freelancer knew each other. It's kind of implied that they were like childhood friends. But if they were, I would like some explanation as to why he just immediately betrays the freelancer there. Like, they could have split the gold and they would still have $10 million each. Like, if the idea is that he was betraying him because it's a life-changing amount of money, he wanted it for himself. $10 million is still a life-changing amount of money. And for that matter, $5 million is still a life-changing amount of money. So they didn't even really need to kill Jade and Dimitri either. Like, so rushed. And I really just, so rushed. I just want more development. That's all I want. Just make this make sense. Make it so Harvey had like a side thing going on. What if Harvey got contacted by Halcyon or something? No, that wouldn't work because they already decided that he was a not a good option because of that casino thing. But like, what if he got contacted by somebody and was like, we're gonna, like, I don't know, he did something in his past and we're like, we know what you did in your past and you need to give us $20 million or else we'll kill your whole family or something. That would make sense why he would then betray the freelance. I don't know. That's a stupid idea, but it's something. Like, just do something. Just please do something with it. Oh, God. And also the idea that he could fence $20 million of gold is like ridiculous. Like, I'm not an expert in illegal gold fencing, but I really highly doubt that would be possible for him to do. Also, I mean, it's an interactive cutscene, so you can kill him, but like you just walk out on the gold either way. So it's like, I mean, I know the freelancer couldn't get the gold because then, you know, by the events of the main story, they don't have $20 million. So like, you know, like obviously it had to end that way. But like, it just like the interactions, it's what I don't like about those Telltale games where you make different choices and it leads to the same exact results. You know, like, it doesn't really matter. It changes the dialogue slightly, and it's still, like, not really that good of dialogue. I don't know. And I generally think Shadow is pretty good at writing dialogue, which is why I think the Freelance Eyes was probably so rushed. Because it just appears that way. You know what I mean? Like, compared to the other story, which, like, generally would, like, the concept of the story probably was rushed as well. But in terms of, like, as they were releasing it, it wasn't rushed. It took, like, years. Or at least 2 years for them to finish it, and they could like tweak it in certain ways, and a lot of it came out like pretty good considering that. Like, I don't think it's a great story, but it's still like, you know, I don't know. I just think Sashato needs that prep time. You know what I mean? I think everyone does, but especially Sashato, because I think they made the freelance heist in like 30 minutes, and it just didn't really turn out well, and this last cutscene is just not it, man. It's not it. And it's actually, like, painful to watch because of how long it is. And I don't like it. I don't like it very much. I think it's the worst cutscene in the game. Moving on to the next one, though. That is going to be... also from the Freelance Heists. This is the first one in the expansion, Prelude. Now, to be clear, in terms of just how it plays out and dialogue and everything, I think it's significantly worse than a lot of everything else that's coming after it on this list. But I do also think it's significantly better than Departure. I don't think the Prelude is like, it doesn't make me like want to blow my brains out when I'm watching it. But I just don't really think it's a great cutscene. I mean, it sets up the story decently. It's just kind of a story that I don't really care about. So, I mean, you also have to understand that I'm, you know, raking it, looking back on it, right? So I guess maybe at the time, you know, and I do want to take, you know, my feelings on them at the time into account here, especially for the later ones. But for this one in particular, it just like, I just can't give it that much credit for that because the story that it sets up is so nothing, and the characters that it introduces are so nothing. Like, I don't care about Harvey because he has no development whatsoever. It's not like I don't care about them because they're poorly written as is. You know, it's just like I want some development up to that point. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know at least why they are the way that they are. You know, but I don't know. The dialogue in this one is also not great, especially from Jade. I don't think Dimitri has any dialogue in this one. Dimitri barely has any dialogue at all. But you know, Jade is just really not that interesting of a character. She's really, honestly, just kind of annoying when she's on screen. I would say she's probably the most annoying character. No, Harvey is the most annoying character, but Jade is the second most annoying character, and this cutscene introduces both of them at the same time. So let that sink in, how annoying of a room it must be to be in during this cutscene. But yeah, Jade just like, she just thinks she's so tough all the time. She's like you say, you can call me this, and she's like, oh yeah, that's a cute fake name. What the fuck do you mean cute fake name? You're also using a fake name. If you didn't know that, her name's not Jade. Her name is Hannah. Jade is a code. She's literally also using a fake name, and she's making fun of us for using a fake name. Are you fucking kidding me? I want to slam that stupid smirk off of her face, dude. She's pissing me off. God, and then she's like, try to keep up, sweetie. Like, I don't know. Like, I get what Sashana was going for, but it's just not tough. Like, she's just not tough. You know what I mean? Like, in order for dialogue, it's not even really about the dialogue itself. It's just like, for dialogue like that to work, it has to have like a build-up. You know what I mean? Like, if you show, this is probably not the only time that I'm going to reference Breaking Bad as a comparison. But like, for example, Mike from Breaking Bad, he is tough because of the things that he does. The show shows him doing tough things, and then he just says things, and those things are tough because you already know that he's tough. Like, you already saw him be tough, and so he says things, and you're like, wow, he would absolutely say that, and that's fucking awesome. I love him for saying that. With Jade, it's just like, you know, and kind of with every character as well, but I noticed it mostly with Jade. I also noticed that almost every character in the game has the exact same personality, and I think that's just because it's Sashato's personality. Or at least their sense of humor is like pretty much the same, especially the female characters. But like, I don't know, and the freelancer, because the freelancer can be male or female. But yeah, they all just kind of talk the exact same. And I guess the males also kind of talk the exact same too, but it's kind of like different. It's kind of like different two sets of personalities. You have the males and the females, and they all are basically the same as each other. But I don't know. I mean, for the most part in the story, they have enough differences for me to get over that. But with Jade, I mean, she appears in like 3 missions and 3 cutscenes, and I just don't care about her at all. Dimitri, though, I actually think was an interesting addition to the cast. I'm probably only saying that because he barely talks, and so he barely has any chances to be corny. But I think his backstory is pretty good. How he's like a pacifist. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He's only the helicopter pilot. But he's just doing it for his family and stuff, you know. I think there could have been a lot more done with that. You know what I mean? Because as it is, it's just like, they say he's a pacifist. He won't kill anyone. Yeah, and yeah, he doesn't personally kill anyone, but like, I mean, he helps willingly with the score, which results in the deaths of hundreds of police officers. You know, the lockup could have been done loud as well, or he could have killed people in stealth. Like, he's obviously not completely unwilling to, like, you know, involve himself in that, which is fine. You know, characters can have like different boundaries and like complexities to them, but like, I just wish they would build off of that a little bit. Like, why did we never saw his family? You know, we never saw like, you know, him interacting with his family. I want them to show, not tell. You know what I mean? Like in the log, you can read that, and that's the Sashato telling you he cares about his family. But I want him to show him caring about his family. I don't want him to show him being manipulated by Harvey. Like, you know, like, I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to die during this. And Harvey's like, well, you don't have to do any of that. You can just close your eyes. And, well, he can't close his eyes because he has to fly a helicopter. But you can just pretend it's not happening. You know what I mean? And then you'll have $5 million in gold. Or, well, he'll fence the gold and then it'll turn into $5 million. And then he'll give him $5 million. So you'll have $5 million. And then you can get your family out of it. And Dimitri's like, I don't know. But then Jade comes in and she's like, you know, I mean, which she kind of does actually, and actually, I'm not even gonna get into that yet because that's in a later cutscene in the list. But you know, I just feel like there's so much more that could have been done, but they just finished it in like 10 minutes, dude. Oh, it makes me mad. Yeah, I don't really like Prelude. I don't think Prelude's a very good cutscene. I think it's better than Departure, and they kind of are like intertwined with each other, though. So I think it's only fair that they both take the bottom 2 spots. But those are the only two that I think are really that bad. Yeah, everything from this point on, I think definitely has good qualities. Not necessarily, I'm not necessarily like in love with them or anything, but I think they all have good qualities. And yeah, we're gonna get into the next one right now. Critical. The first cutscene on this list from the main story. Now, this cutscene is honestly not really that bad in terms of like any like particular flaws that I want to point out with it. I think the dialogue is fine. I think, it doesn't necessarily detract from the story or anything. It just really, highlights the thing that I was talking about, which is just that there's no like development whatsoever. So it's really hard for me to care about what's happening. You know what I mean? It's really short. All it basically is a freelancer coming in, and he's like, Rose, we gotta get back out there. Ren's telling us to get back out there. And she's like, all right, yeah, I'll be out there in a second. And she sounds super depressed or whatever. And the freelancer's like, hey, it's gonna be okay. You're a good operator. We're gonna get out there and you're gonna get your head in the game. We're gonna lock in, Rose. And she's like, Rachel. My name is Rachel. And it's like, whoa, that's her real name. Although, if you read the lock, you already knew that. Actually, that might not have been mentioned yet in the lock. I think actually when that cutscene came out, I think we only see her name in the lock when in the SCRS is lock code. So actually, we didn't see that yet. But still, I mean, it's like it's a reveal, but like not really that interesting of a reveal because like who cares? Like who cares, dude? Like I understand it's implied to be like kind of a crazy thing to like tell someone your real name when you're like working with them as criminals. Like you gotta have your code name so they don't, no information gets out about you. And telling the freelancer her name is like, oh, it's a sign of trust. And like that's cool, and I think it was a fine way of doing that. But it just there's nothing like backing it up. There's no impact. When I see that, I'm just like, oh, I'm not like, oh my god, they're best friends now. I'm like, oh, her name's Rachel. That's that's all right. Like it's just whatever. Also, I don't like the name Rachel. I mean, I think the name Rachel is fine. I don't like it for her character. I think they could have picked a better name for her Rose, like Reagan or something. Reagan, that's a tough name. That is a tough name. Let me tell you right now. If there's not a character and operator named Reagan who's just an absolute just badass, let me tell you, Sashato. If you don't take that name, I'm taking that name. I'm gonna write my own story about a character named Reagan, and she's gonna be fucking awesome because that name is fucking awesome. So you better. I'm giving you gold right here. If you don't take it, then I'm taking it. But anyway, yeah, Critical is it's all right. It's an alright cutscene. It's not unwatchable or anything. It just really doesn't mean anything. And honestly, you could probably just cut it out entirely, and it would really change absolutely nothing. So I put it at 12. But number 11. All right, calm down. Calm down. Calm down, everyone. Put down your pitchforks and let me explain. Sunset's not that good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But let me explain. First of all, in terms of what it means for the story, just like Critical, absolutely fucking nothing. Like, it does not contribute anything to the story. It was just tacked on at the end for fan service. And it really just doesn't, like, go anywhere. Now, on top of that, another thing that I don't like about it is the dialogue from Sparrow. It's not bad writing. Don't get me wrong. I want to, say that again. Sashato, I think, is a great writer. The dialogue that they write, I think, is very entertaining to listen to. Well, I mean, not to listen to because there's no voice acting, but to watch and read, I think is pretty good. Like the way that the characters talk to one another is usually pretty good. But the dialogue itself, like what they're actually saying, it's not necessarily out of character. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say that because I don't really know what Sparrow's character is like even really supposed to be outside of just funny, hot helicopter pilot. But like, I don't know. When she says that, it wasn't Jackdaw's fault, and it implies that she, even years after Black Dusk, she keeps coming back, checking up on him, making sure he's okay. And he's like, you don't have to keep checking up on me. And she's like, it wasn't your fault, And he's like, I know. But it's okay, I have to live with it anyway. Like, no? What do you mean it was his fault? It was totally his fault. I'm going to get to that later, but, like, it was totally his fault. It was his revenge crusade. And he, like, literally... Okay, the Freelancer is an adult, right? And what Jackdaw says in Retribution is correct, that we all make our own choices. And, that doesn't mean that you can't, like, manipulate someone, though. Like, he literally... You can't tell me he didn't reveal Rose's death only to manipulate the Freelancer. Like, you cannot tell me that he was doing that just as a good friend. I don't even think Shoshana would think that. Like, because they made the friggin' April Fool's thing that one year, where he was like, the Freelancer was like, I don't really trust you. And then Jackdaw was like, why? Is it because I'm a manipulative psychopath and everyone that's ever known me has died of a heart attack and it looked like an accident? And the Freelancer's like, yeah. And it's just like again, I'm not against Jackdaw, he's kind of like one of the most important main characters, but like, I'm not against him being a bad guy. I'm not against one of the main cast being a bad person. Obviously, all the characters are pretty bad people generally, but like, why are we treating him like this? Why are you giving him a fan service cutscene at the end where Sparrow says that it wasn't his fault that those things happened? Like, it was his fault. Like, we all make our own choices. His choice was to create Phoenix and, like, use all of his friends to fucking take down Halcyon because he wanted to take him down. Like, it's already enough that he was the only one that made it out, even though he, like at the end, he wasn't even really doing anything. Like, he was pretty much the Freelancer just going in. And I guess he was, like, too old to go out himself, but, like, he needed to kill the director himself. Like the whole point of the story is that revenge is, a fool's game, right? Which is not a bad message. It's a message that's been said a lot in stories before. The point of the story is that, Jackdaw's revenge scheme and the Freelancer's revenge scheme only resulted in, it did result in him getting what he wanted, but it didn't really result in him getting what he wanted because he's ultimately, not as happy now or whatever because the Freelancer died and Rose died and everybody died and he's like, oh, maybe I should have just, not done that, right? Maybe I should have not gone so far into my revenge plot. And it's fine as a story, but it just feels like Sunset undoes a lot of that because Sparrow says it's not his fault, and he doesn't actively. I don't think he actually says I know. Like I was adding that in myself earlier, but like he doesn't actively disagree, And then he's talking about the Freelancer's death, and he's like, oh, it's been 4 years, it's been quiet, but it's been good. Like, what do you mean it's been good? Why are you saying? Why has it been good? It shouldn't have been good. That goes back on the point. Like he's supposed to not be happy right now. If he's happy right now, then what the story is really saying is that ultimately it was worth it. That he, doesn't regret doing what he did. Like, what? How is that a good message? And I don't think that was the message before Sunset, but then they added Sunset at the end, and it's like okay, I guess... I don't think they were trying to say that. I think if I asked Shoshana all of this personally, they would be like, no, I don't think it's really that deep. I was just kind of making him say that because it's like, I don't know, it's cool or whatever. But that was my interpretation of it. And I don't really like it. I think it was just kind of tacked on at the end. Mostly I only put it above critical because of the music. I really like the music choice in this cutscene. And I like the music choice in a lot of the cutscenes as well. But this one in particular is really emotionally powerful and almost like tricks you into thinking that it's actually good story writing, but it's not good story writing. It's a pretty bad story writing. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's bad writing, but it is not a bad cutscene. Like it's fine to watch. I do think it's better than the 3 below it, but I'm not putting it any higher than here. I'm definitely not putting it in the top 10 because it's so pointless. Like critical is pointless. Sunset actively detracts from the story, so it's like I don't know. I guess you gotta consider how good the music must be for me to put it a spot above critical. After everything that I just said. Also, Sparrow's outfit. That is that's another plus because she looks fire in her new like mature fits with the the brown hair. She got rid of the blue dye, and she's like she's grown up now. That's like it's cool. I guess I don't know. And Jackdaw's fit is pretty cool too because he's got like the flannel on. He's like an old man. He's like writing, and then and then at the end of the pictures of everybody, that's kind of cool too. I kind of like that as well. Yeah, so I guess there's elements of fan service in it that I like, but ultimately I wish I could cut it out of the story because I don't think it does very good things for the story. But anyway, moving on into the top 10. Number 10 is going to be Take. Yes, that is the Take from the Freelance Heist expansion. Yes, I am putting one of the cutscenes from the Freelance Heist in the top 10. I'm saying the top 10 like it matters when there's only 14 cutscenes, so it's actually saying putting something in the top 10 isn't really that crazy. But honestly, I think this is a good cutscene. I think it has a nice build-up to the score. I like the dialogue all around. And I especially like looking back on it, how, Harvey and Jade were talking, and, he's like, we decided to take the gold for ourselves. And it's kind of like looking back on it, it's like, oh, that's what Harvey and the freelancer really wanted all along. So they're really just falling right into their trap, And then it's got the Jade thing, which I mentioned before, that I would talk about later. Jade, Dimitri's like, I'm not really sure about this. And Jade's like, this is the best thing we could do. Well, what he's actually saying is he's not really sure about betraying the broker because of the files that the broker has on him they blackmailed him with. So he actually still never acknowledges all the killing that's done by the freelancer. But, Jade is kind of like comforting him and is like, this is the best choice for you and your family. I don't know. I feel like the relationship between Jade and Dimitri, it's kind of an unlikely friendship, They came from two different backgrounds. I don't think it's ever really explained how they met. Like, why not just explain that, right? Like, why not? I don't know. There's so many areas of possible development that they just didn't use. But anyway, we're talking about good things right now. The Take cutscene is good. It's got a good build-up. It's nice looking back on, the dialogue at the end between Harvey and the freelancer. Looking back, it's like, oh, we thought they were talking about this, but they were really talking about this. And it's like, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it's a really short cutscene. It's not like it's super important or anything, but I think it does its job pretty well for what it is. I think it's a good, build up to the score. I've said that like 3 times. I really wish I could come up with new words for it. But yeah, I guess there's just not really that much to say about it because it's, not really a super like climactic cutscene or anything. But I do think it's the best in the Freelance Heist. I think it serves its purpose the best. I think it's a good watch. The music is pretty good. Yeah, it's all around just pretty well executed cutscene. I like it. So that's why it's in the top 10 out of 14. So yeah, moving on to number 9 now. Payoff. Now this is one that is really, really based on that thing I was talking about earlier, where a lot of it, you have to take into account, when the cutscenes actually came out, how good they were for the time, and the kind of the things that they did to the community and like how they contributed to the story at the time. You know what I mean? And this one is really one where that is like basically the main reason I'm putting it this high. Because honestly, looking at it now, it's not an amazing cutscene or anything. It's literally just the freelancer sitting in a shed, and then he points a gun at Jackdaw, and then Jackdaw is like, here's some money for doing it, which I guess was for the scientist. And then, actually, no, it probably wasn't, because it, I don't know, it was, because it's, sorry, I get the scientist takes place a year before, but it takes place the year before, but it takes place on Christmas Eve, and the payoff is like January 1st, 2017, so, it's likely money for completing the scientist. And then, He's like, the end is coming. I can hardly wait. You know, so it's kind of cool. But at the time that it came out, we didn't have the scientists. We didn't have any of like the Phoenix stuff, really. We might have had the withdrawal. I think maybe, I'm trying not to remember, but Payoff and the withdrawal definitely came out around the same time. They either came out at the same time or the withdrawal came out first and then Payoff came out, or actually maybe Payoff came out first. I don't fucking know. My memory's not really serving me very well right now. But either way, I remember the theorizing that we were getting into at the time. It was a lot of fun. You know, a lot of people didn't even believe that it was the Freelancer. You know what I mean? Even though the Freelancer had appeared in every cutscene before it, other than Black Dawn. You know, so that was kind of dumb. But we were young. Okay, we were kids at the time. So let's just, you know, cut ourselves a little bit of slack here. You know, the theories don't have to be good for us to have fun making them, right? But yeah, I remember I was theorizing, like, how could we possibly get to this point? I remember getting to, like, every possible conclusion other than the one that it actually ended up being. I was like, what if we're a double agent for Halcyon and we're going to kill Jackdaw thinks we're working for him, but we're actually going to kill him, you know? And then another one was like, what if it's actually Ren? Because if you look at the outfit he's wearing, it kind of looks like Ren's. It doesn't look anything like Ren's at all. Like, I literally came to every conclusion. And then at the withdrawal too, even though his dialogue, like, I'm pretty sure his text color. Well, this is where it gets fuzzy because it depends on whether Payoff came out first or not. But after watching Payoff and playing the withdrawal, we knew what Jackdaw's dialogue color was. We also could have probably guessed it beforehand because of his hair color, but like either way, even when we knew it for a fact that it was him talking, we were like, who could that be? Why did Ren's dialogue color change? That's so strange. Like, so dumb. We were so dumb. We really could not comprehend Entry Point's story. Out of all the stories that there are for you to not be able to comprehend, Entry Point is really an interesting one. Still, though, it's fun times. I think Payoff, you know, really serves its purpose very well. You know, for what it is, you know, it was there to put in suspense. It was there to have the people questioning, like, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? Now, to be fair, looking back, it is, like, abundantly clear what was actually going to happen. Like, what actually ended up being the story should have been, like, the first thing that I thought of. But still, it ultimately is. It does, you know, serve its purpose well. It's a neat watch. The dialogue is pretty good. There's no music, which I think is fitting in this case, you know. And it builds a lot of suspense, you know what I mean? I think, you know, I think it does that pretty effectively, which is why I think it deserves this placement no higher, but it is a good cutscene, so it deserves to be placed above the ones below it. But yeah, moving on to number 8. We're getting into some serious ones here. Moving on to number 8. That's going to be Rose. Cutscene Rose, named after the character Rose. This one's a banger. Let me tell you. These original cutscenes, and this is actually going to be like, probably like one of the lowest placements for the ones that are like all along the top line of the story when you're in the game and you're looking, it's like on the top. Those ones are pretty much all peak. This one is the lowest one, but it's still great. I really like the introduction to the character. I mean, technically our introduction to the character was Black Site, but no, this cutscene came out before the Black Site, I think. I said that very matter-of-factly, only to end it with I think. So I sound very unconfident right now, but I'm pretty sure that is correct. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we saw her. No, she was in Black Dawn. What am I talking about? She's literally in the first cutscene in the entire game. Oh, holy shit. Okay, anyway. This is the first, like big introduction. It's the first time that we see her. She's got dialogue. She's out of the prison uniform. She's in her classic, you know, jacket. She's got the sunglasses indoors because she's fucking swag. It's a good introduction. It's got really good dialogue. I like the dynamic between her and the director. how, you know, they're talking about Jackdaw and looking back on that. She knows that he's alive because she saved him, but she's like, no, it's impossible. I really like the manipulation she does with Ren, because she's like, you know, I mean, obviously it would, you know, it would benefit her to try to turn Halcyon against Ren, but she knows that's impossible because Ren is as loyal as a fucking dog. So she's like, you know, she just plays into that and making herself seem more trustworthy by being like, if Ren says you was shot, you know you was shot. And that's true, because Ren would never betray Halcyon. But yeah, I think it's a really good, you know, the conversation between her and the director there is really good, really well executed. What else about it that I like? Oh, after that, when she talks to Ren, when Ren is, you know, telling the freelancer that they're doing good, and she comes in, she's like, Ren, what's up, my man? And he's like, hey, what yeah. I don't know. The story really just randomly decides whether or not Ren has the personality. It's kind of random. But, yeah, she, you know, says to Ren, they promoted me. It's your fault, isn't it? And when I first saw that, I was like, what the hell is she talking about? And I have two theories as to what it's talking about. Actually, I have one theory, and I was talking about it in FSC earlier, and somebody else came up with another theory. But my first theory was it was about Black Dawn, because she essentially, when they promoted her to mission coordinator, they essentially gave Ren's position to her. So, you know, my thought was that, and I came up with this like today, by the way. Up until this point, I had no idea what she was talking about. I was like, what could possibly be his fault? But yeah, I guess she was saying like it's his fault that Black Dawn went awry, and she kind of got captured, and then as a punishment for that, the director was like, you know what, we're gonna actually promote her and demote you. In reality, though, the second theory that I heard from Flyer in FSC was that they were talking about Ember Shroud, you know, with Jackdaw surviving and all that, you know, because she just found out that Jackdaw was alive from the direct. Well, she just found out that Jackdaw was still alive, and then she was like, "It's your fault, isn't it?" Right? I don't know. Either way, it's good dialogue, and she introduced herself to the freelancer, you know, even though they've already met, but they didn't really get a chance to like get acquainted. So, you know, it's cool. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's a good cutscene. Who said the cutscenes have to have all this big dramatic, all the explosions, stuff happening, gunshots everywhere? Who said cutscenes need all that? Sometimes good dialogue and world building and character development, you know, is good. And this is a rare case of character development. You know what I mean? It's because it's at the beginning of the story. They're showing us who Rose is, and her personality stays mostly consistent throughout the entire story. It's good. It's good shit. It's good shit, Sashado. More stuff like this in Operators. Definitely more stuff like this. Learn from yourself. Introduce characters like that. It's just so good. It's so good. You know, I did only put it at 8 though, but I you know, I guess it goes to show, you know, how impressed I was really with, you know, returning to all the cutscenes. A lot of them turned out a lot better than I remembered. Like I said, you know what I mean? So even number 8, I think is like really, really enjoyable to watch. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's like peak. But I definitely think that it's a good cutscene. Serves its purpose. Gives us some character developments, my beloved character development finally. And yeah, I think it's definitely pretty solid, but also one of the weakest of like the good ones. So anyway, moving on to number 7. Epilogue. The second to last cutscene in the game. What was the last cutscene in the game before Sunset got added for no reason. Yeah, this is a much, much better sort of outro to the story than Sunset. Now, to be fair, I do think it could have been a little bit better. You know, like just overall, the whole atmosphere of it just kind of reeks of like Entry Point. You know what I mean? Like, it's it almost like set itself up for failure, being the conclusion to entry point out of any story. Like it would only have more impact if the story before that was just like blowing me away, like for like the entire time. But honestly, as an outro to entry point, I think it's pretty much as good as can be expected. The reveal with the freelancer's death was really good. I really like that ending dialogue between with Jackdaw and the freelancer, where they're like, you know, saying their final words to each other, and then Jackdaw actually feels like, you know, the gravity of, you know, the decisions that he's made are actually like, you know, leading to a death of another person, you know, someone that he thought that he would actually like make it out with. Not make out with, what the hell am I saying? Make it out with, like make it out of the game with. Yeah, I thought that was really cool to see Jackdaw, you know, showing some emotion for once. Yeah, and I would say the last thing he says to him, I would say it's been an honor. It's probably like the most painful thing that one character can say to another character before that character dies. I would say that's, you know, if you're writing two characters dying that have spent a lot of time together, getting to know each other throughout the process of the story, especially if they didn't really like each other in the beginning, and then they like go through all this growth, and they're like, okay, well, actually, you know, this guy's actually pretty cool. We have a lot in common. And then at the end, one of them dies, you know, and, you know, you have to reveal at that very end that they actually have like gained respect for one another. It's been an honor is always a classic. That's always a classic line. It's just gonna make the audience go, oh God, fuck. And it actually did. It actually did make me go like that when I was rewatching it. Even though I don't care, I had to like remind myself, wait, I don't care about these characters. Like, it's just generally just, I don't know. So Shadow was really good at creating like hype moments. You know what I mean? I just really wish that they would have more sort of like impact behind them. You know what I mean? But ultimately, like, the big like explosion itself is really good. And obviously, I was anticipating this cutscene a lot. Like, pretty much from the first time that I saw, you know, the game, or the first time I found the game, like 2019. And I was like, how is this thing gonna end? You know what I mean? Like, I was definitely following along for the story for the whole time. Like, I was invested. You know what I mean? So, like, it definitely was I'd say it was a pretty satisfying conclusion. Definitely at the time, and even coming back to it now, I think it's, you know, it's alright. It's as good as you can be expected. You know, it does have that ridiculous director death animation when Jackdaw shoots him, and he's like, oh, you know, can't blame the Shadow too much for that. Obviously, the Roblox, you know, can't create like the best animations ever, and we'll get to that in a minute. Or I don't know. I say we'll get to that. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. But I'm gonna say that again in a minute. I'm gonna repeat myself in a minute. But anyway, yeah, that cutscene, or that part of the cutscene is a little bit awkward. But you know, Jackdaw not saying anything, just kind of staring at him, and the director's like, nothing to say, and he's like, he's got the eye patch. That's pretty tough. I got hand it to Shishato. That's pretty tough. Not saying anything. Like, they could have easily written some corny ass line, like, well, we finally meet again, Kingfisher. Or they could have said Mason and dropped his real name. Boom, fire, real name revealed. But no. They didn't do anything like that. You know, he just had him stare at him. Because honestly, what even would you say in that situation, right? Just fucking do it. Just kill him. You've already come this far. And he does, and it's, you know, like, it looks awkward in the cutscene, but it is, like, a pretty powerful moment, like, story-wise, because it's all coming, you know, it's coming to a close. Everything it's been going on led up to this point right here, and it killed him. Also, probably would have had a little bit more impact if the director had, like, any character development. I'm pretty sure this is, like, the third cutscene in the entire game that he appears in. Like, let's see, he appears in Halcyon, Rose, and then that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's obviously mentioned a couple more times, but like, yeah, he has very, very little appearances for as important as he is. I guess Halcyon is more like a vessel for a story rather than, you know, himself being super important. But I still feel like, you know, could have done a little bit more with that. Also, one more thing that I want to add. Rose narrating the cutscene. That was disgusting. I'm so sorry. Rose narrating the cutscene. Rose narrating the cutscene was a choice that I don't know how I feel about. I mean, I guess I'm not against it in concept. I feel like maybe the monologue could have been a little bit better. I mean, it kind of just it goes nowhere. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a representation in the dialogue of what I was saying, where like they're so good at creating hype moments that don't really mean anything and don't really have any impact. Because if you actually look at what Rose is saying there, she literally like goes nowhere with her thought. She's like, "What if we never joined Halcyon? Would we still be criminals? Did we ever do the right thing? No. You know, like okay, like we already knew that." It's not really having like an insightful revelation or anything. Like, I don't know. Like in the end, we got what we wanted. I guess, like, I guess so. I mean, you did get what you wanted in the beginning. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on Shadow here. Like I said before, it's kind of hard to wrap up a story like Entry Points in a way that has a super big impact when the story itself doesn't really have that much of an impact. But for what it is, I think Epilogue's pretty good. It's a good outro. It's a good closer. You know, I can assure you that it had some people crying their eyes out when they were watching it for the first time when it first came out. But yeah, I still don't think it's quite like peak Entry Point material. So moving on to number 6. Black Dawn fucking slaps. This cutscene is so good. I will glaze this cutscene for eternity. There's only one reason it's not in the top 5. And let me tell you, that thing that I said that I was going to repeat myself on, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to repeat myself. The animations in this cutscene are trash. Like Rose literally blowtorching a door is just like, you're not even going to be able to see me, but like she's just like, and then she goes over, picks up the suitcase and is like, you know, and the animation for when she puts it on there and then hacks it and is going like, oh, that's kind of cool. But like, it's just like the music is blasting. The guitar's like, and then Rose is just like taking a leisurely stroll. Like, I feel like I get Sashana wants to do like this casual badass kind of thing where like the freelancer and the Rose and everybody just don't really care about what they're doing and got the shades on. And they're like, yeah, I'll just break into this highly secured bank and just steal $12 billion like it's nothing. I can just do that any day of the week because I'm just that cool. And like, I don't know, that works sometimes, but like also other times, like there needs to be some intensity. Like it's okay for the characters to be like nervous or like feeling emotion. Like they don't have to be like robotic. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to just not care about anything to be cool, right? It's more about like, you know, the intensity of the situation, showing them like, you know, and I'm not really, this is getting a little bit off topic. Again, the animation thing is mostly, you know, not really Sashato's fault because it's kind of Roblox, you know, hard to make like really good animations, but it does ultimately kind of take away the impact from the cutscene itself because everything's moving. It just feels like it should be moving at a fast pace and it's moving at a very slow pace. That being said, though, the cutscene is fantastic. I love this cutscene. The soundtrack is fire. The screen appears, when the text appears on the screen, it's like breach, and then the guy falls over, and they come in, and they're like fucking shit up, and it's just fucking awesome. And then when it's like, after she gets the Project Onyx files, and also, it's so cool that they're showing that, by the way, because that's the Project Onyx files that they're stealing. They're breaking into Dawn Valley Defense Labs to steal Project Onyx, and then they leave with that. It's so cool that they're showing that at the beginning, and you think it's just like, oh, it's just another mission. They're just doing their thing. Oh, they're surprised by Jackdaw, but then you go back to it later on, and you realize this is actually really important. Like this particular mission that they're showing is actually like vital. It's like the most important mission in the whole fucking story. Like it makes like that's the reason that Jackdaw was there, because he got the Project Onyx files from them, and Rose and him set that up beforehand. It's so good. And then after she gets them, with the suitcase thing, and it turns green, and they're leaving, and then the screen comes back, and it's like, secondary objective, targeted resource deprivation. And then it's like, the van drives away. It's so good, dude. It's so good. I literally like actually can't believe how like fucking awesome this cutscene is. It's so sick. Like I can't stop glazing it, dude. And then they're driving, and then Jackdaw with the thumper, and then the shots, and then he shoots 3 times, and he shoots 3 times again, and then he shoots 2 times, and it's implied that he shot Rose only 2 times, and it was like slower. So it's like subtle foreshadowing that, oh, he left her alive. Maybe he did that on purpose. You know what I mean? It's so good. It's so good. I love watching this cutscene. It's literally like fucking awesome. Could not have asked for a better intro. Genuinely could not have asked for one. Literally, like I wanted to place this at 1 because it's fucking awesome, but I just couldn't because the animations, I just can't get past them. Like I'm saying all this while I'm thinking back on it, but when I'm actually watching it, that is like a real issue where they just like are just not moving, and it's like what the fuck ever, dude. But yeah, in terms of like an intro to the story, intro to the game, could not have asked for anything better. Like it's literally just everything. It's just everything you want. Yeah. So like I think this is a pretty big step up from number 7. I think it's a lot better than Epilogue. You know, and Epilogue wasn't bad by any means. So like, you know, I think we're gonna get into some real bangers here when we're getting into the top 5. So yeah, getting into the top 5. Number 5, that is gonna be Dedication. Oh my god, when this cutscene first came out and I first watched it, the theories were crazy. You thought the theories were crazy when we were watching Payoff. Dude, the theories, the dedication spawned, so insane. Like it literally, this is probably the most iconic cutscene in the whole game. If not Black Dawn, it's gotta be this one. This is the one that everyone thinks, when you think about entry point and you think about cutscene, you think about Ren pointing the gun at you and going like, we always catch them, and then shooting him. Like, that shit gets memed into the ground because it's entry point, but like that is genuinely good dialogue. Like that is really good. And it like when I first saw it, I was like, what? And then but like I didn't even only do that because I was like 12. Because when going back to it now and watching it again, I'm like, wow, that is actually like intense. Now obviously there is the big glaring issue with it that a million people have pointed out before me, and I'm sure I will not be the last person to say it either. But it's very cliche how Ren just does like this big speech, this big monologue, and a lot of people talk about like right before shooting you too, where he's like, "Your squad is compromised," and then he shoots you. You know, he had no reason to say that, but like even before that, like the whole conversation they were having doesn't make sense. I don't really think it makes sense for Ren's character. He's supposed to be like a sociopath. Why would he want to like get to know you like right before he's killing you? Like that wouldn't really make sense for anyone, but it especially makes less sense for him. Because like, why is he like trying to be your friend right now? You know what I mean? He's not friends with anyone. The director said that he probably hasn't cared about anyone in the entire human race in his entire life. So like, why is he? What's the point of this? What's the point of this conversation? I understand it was to build tension, but like, couldn't they have done it like while he was digging the hole? Like, what if the freelancer was actively digging the hole while Ren was talking to him, and they were digging it, and then that would make sense why they're having that conversation, because they're not wasting time. Ren is actually having him help dig the hole. And to be fair, Ren does think he has all the time in the world right now. Like, he doesn't think that Jackdaw is gonna come out and fucking blast him. You know, that also probably wasn't Jackdaw, by the way. I highly doubt Jackdaw just happened to be in that area and happened to go get him. I think he probably just had an operative in the area that he called in. Or maybe they called like a big squad search from a bunch of Phoenix operatives. They were searching like the whole forest, and that's how they found him, because they were probably out in the middle of nowhere. I think that would have been really cool if they showed that, you know, and it probably would have been shown if it was like a TV show, you know, like all the Phoenix operatives going around, you know, and that wouldn't have been shown in the cutscene because that would reveal it was, you know, it would reveal things. But like, you know, I don't know, it would just be cool. It would be cool to see all that and have more explanation than just like, oh, Rose called Jackdaw. while she was getting assassinated, and then he goes and kills Ren. Like, there's so much. It's just such loose connections that it's really easy to like poke holes in it. You know what I mean? And I feel like if the story was a little bit more fleshed out, it wouldn't be as easy to poke holes in it like that. But anyway, regardless of the cliches, regardless of all that, like, yes, they had no reason to be doing all that shit, but like, whatever, dude. Whatever. It's a Roblox game. It's a Roblox game. Okay, you got too high expectations for it. And I know I've been criticizing it the whole time, but at some point you do have to draw the line and just be like, okay, maybe your expectations are just way too high right now. And I think they are. I think if you are actively saying dedication is not a good cutscene because of that cliche, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, because I still think dedication is a great cutscene. I think the dialogue is great. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense that it's happening. They probably shouldn't be talking, but it is still good dialogue and it's good writing. And then, you know, Ren gets shot and you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you wake up to see Jackdaw and what? Like, why did Jackdaw save us? You know what I mean? So good. And then it's like the theories that came from that, dude, that was so fun. Theorizing, like, I'm pretty sure everyone was convinced that we were a traitor at that point. Like, I was 100% convinced, like, okay, now I get it. The freelancer was actually a double agent all along. You know what I mean? And that's why we ended up joining Phoenix later on. That still ended up being wrong, because I am always wrong about everything, I guess. But still, again, you don't have to be right for the theory to be fun to craft. You know what I mean? And it's just so iconic. It's so iconic. I will genuinely never forget that we always catch them. I'll never forget that. I don't think anyone in the community will. It's just so perfect. You know what I mean? I mean, genuinely, if you play Entry Point Freelancers Cut and you're like active in the community now, and you don't recognize the "we always catch them" thing, you don't deserve the game. Okay, I think Shadow should refund your Robux, or you should be forced to play the entirety of the Entry Point story in order with the same amount of distance in between everything as I had, so that you can understand and be a true fan of Entry Point. Because that should just be a requirement, in my opinion. It's just too iconic. My phone fell. If you couldn't tell, you probably couldn't, because I just so smoothly just put it back up just instantly. You probably just couldn't even tell, but my phone actually fell right there. But anyway, yeah, I love dedication. It's a great cutscene, and that's why it's in the top 5. But now moving on to number 4. Halcyon. I think I already did that sort of intro thing for a previous cutscene. I don't remember which one, but yeah, sorry about that. I'm not really that creative with going into this. Even as I'm like ending the things that like I'm trying to think of like what I could possibly say, and I just always end up saying, oh, the next one's gonna be this, and then yeah, whatever. Enough of that. Halcyon is a great cutscene, and I gotta be honest, I'm being a little bit unfair with this ranking, because half the reason I put it this high is because of the original music, and that is no longer the actual music that's used in game. A lot of the Entry Point sound, well, not a lot of it, but some soundtrack tracks from Entry Point, they got taken off of Roblox. So Shadow has replaced them, and that is not Shadow's fault. I do not blame Shadow for that at all. They did the best that they could in those areas. I think the new soundtrack for the cutscene is fine. It's workable, but it just cannot compare to that original. It synced so well. It syncs so well. Especially that ending when Ren is calling it. Well, okay, hold on. Let's get to that later. But basically, this cutscene is just right after the freelancer mission, the tutorial. I think it's like a day after. Actually, no, it might be the same day, because the Black Dawn happened on the 27th, and Halcyon happens the 28th. Right. So the freelancer is probably the 28th also. So yeah, they probably took place on the same day. And then, you know, we're just chilling at home, and then Ren and the director are having a meeting about, what the freelancer stole from the police department. They see the picture of Jackdaw, and he's like, "Is that who I think it is?" And he's like, "Yes." It's like, holy shit, who is that? I don't know. I'm just the audience here. I don't know what's going on, but I guess this guy's important. And then he's got that exposition where he's like, "I shot him twice and dropped a burning building on him. It seems safe to assume he was dead." I'm like, wow. So these guys have history, right? It's not the best exposition I've ever seen, but I think that it is pretty good. It gets the job done. It's decently tough. It's got a decent amount of aura to it, you know. I like the director's dialogue as well. The director and Ren. I mean, obviously Ren's best showcase of dialogue is in Dedication for sure, but the director. I think the director is honestly pretty cool when he's on screen. I can't think of a time that he's been on screen or been like shown to like say something that I thought was like bad. I think he's actually like probably one of my favorite characters to like hear from, which is why it kind of sucks that you hear from him so little. But yeah, his dialogue is pretty good. He's kind of like ordering Ren around, and then Ren just immediately suggesting that we kill the freelancer. They're like, "Oh, like, okay, fuck you, like that's me, bro. I just spent like 10 minutes creating that character, and now you're just gonna fucking kill me, like, all right." But then the director's like, "No, I've got a better idea." That line is so good looking back, because literally everything that happens in the story after that point is basically like, okay, technically you could say everything that happens in the story happened because of Ember Shroud, but like a lot of what happened in the story could have been prevented if Halcyon just killed the freelancer, but the director was like, "No, we're gonna hire him instead." So like, and then the freelancer ended up being Jackdaw's biggest weapon against Halcyon, because we were like the most skilled, fucking most cracked criminal in the entire fucking universe. Like, and Halcyon could have just killed us, like right there. Like they just threw the idea out there like it was nothing. Like, I don't know. I really like when characters do that. I really like when characters are shown to like not take death that serious, or like the death of others that seriously. Like, we could just do it like it's like nothing, like it's nothing. But then showing that character, ultimately prevailing against that force in the end, it's just a really good way of showing a character as like an unstoppable force. You know what I mean? And Halcyon is kind of like an unstoppable force. It's like $1 million corporation. They can do anything. They can do literally anything. They can break into fucking government bases, police stations, rob any bank they want to, assassinate anybody they want to. Like, Halcyon is pretty fucking insane. Like, the only people that were able to take down Halcyon were Jackdaw and the freelancer, and they're also insane. So like, literally, Halcyon is just such like, they can just do whatever they want. You know what I mean? It's like David versus Goliath. And I just like that. I like that line a lot. It's like, "You want to take out that freelancer?" And he's like, "No, I have a better idea." That's just really good. It's also really good. I mean, it was really good just seeing it for the first time, because it was like, oh, they could just kill my character, but they're just not going to. I guess that's, all right. It kind of just like, it's kind of a decent way of like building sort of a connection with the character, showing them in like life or death situations. Kind of like that one game. I don't remember what game it was, but it was like the very opening was like you select your character, and then it shows like all the other choices that you could have had just get hanged instantly, like thrown on the fucking gallows, and then you're the only one that escapes. So like, showing like you're a character that you have already like, personally chosen, and obviously in the case of Entry Point, you personally designed them completely yourself. So it's like, like this is me. This is like, I feel like a connection to them. You know what I mean? And that's kind of just cool. And then obviously the phone call after that between Ren and the freelancer, some of the best dialogue in the game. It's just so good. It's such a like, good exposition. You know what I mean? Setting up Halcyon as this, this organization, got operations all over the globe, I think is what he says. And the freelancer is like this chill motherfucker is just like, "Oh, well, I don't know nothing about that, but your payments came through. That's all I usually ask for. So I guess, yeah, sure, we can be partners." You know what I mean? It's really cool. It's really cool. And obviously, the music originally, which is what I was going to get into and what I saved for now, is that it syncs who, when Ren says the name of the organization, because the freelancer's like, "This organization yours, does it have a name?" And I'm gonna play this so you know what I'm talking about. It's so good. It's so peak, dude. God, I need to brush my teeth. Anyway, yeah, I really like that cutscene. I think it's one of the best. Again, not one of the most climactic, but sometimes the best shit is just exposition. It's just building. It's just world building. You know what I mean? Halcyon does a very good job of doing that. So I think it's one of the best cutscenes in the game. It's one of the best on rewatch. It's one of the best at what it does originally. You know, it's very solid. Very good work here. Good work, Shadow. But anyway, moving on to number 3. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now, this top 3 is just amazing. It's just perfect. I don't think there's a single flaw in any of these 3 cutscenes. They're genuinely just absolute peak. This cutscene, it's just pure exposition. It's pure exposition. It came out like either like at the same time as Black Dusk, or maybe like a day before, maybe it was like an hour before or something. I don't know. But we were all like hyped. We were like ready. Like the Black Dusk is about to come out like right now. And then suddenly we saw the cutscenes were out. We were like, what? We've been waiting the whole story for these. You know what I mean? And dude, it just is so hype, dude. Like the music choice is perfect. It's so intense. It genuinely brings a tear to my eye. Like how perfect the music choice was. And dialogue, some of the best in the entire game. Some of the best exposition. Like none of it is corny at all. Like literally, I realized that, you know, I say that and it kind of sounds like, oh, the bar is in hell. Like just barely being all right is just enough for you to call it peak. Like, okay. But like, no, I'm saying like, in comparison to everything else, like sometimes Shishato has a way of falling into the like, I don't know, taking itself too seriously, insisting upon itself, if you will. But Jackdaw just doesn't do that. It's just really good dialogue, and I think it's really good intense dialogue. I love, you know, how it works with the music, and ultimately the entry point soundtrack is like really good. Like thinking about, you know, the way that they use the music, considering the music wasn't actually made for the game, and they just found it on like the Roblox library. Like it's pretty good the way that they use it. Super effective in this cutscene. The dialogue is between Jackdaw and the freelancer is great. The reveal that Rose helped found Phoenix, not really that big of a reveal at this point, but still, you know. And then when the music builds up, honestly, I think I'm just gonna play this part in its entirety because it's like genuinely like some of the best dialogue that Shishato has ever written. Period. I don't know if they'll even be able to top it because it's just perfect. So I think I'm just gonna play this whole thing in its entirety with the music. genuinely just, it's some real ass shit from Jackdaw. That's what we needed. The Jackdaw needed a chance to say some real ass shit. You know what I mean? Because he's just so like, he's such like a mysterious kind of character, I guess, is what he's supposed to be. Like you can't really read him that well. He's kind of, you think he's got a lot more to him, but you can't really tell because he doesn't really open up like at all. But like this is it. This is the ending, and we're finally getting him just being fully honest about this. Like I know we've both spent years getting to this point, but like I'm just gonna let you know right now, it is not gonna. We're not gonna like feel happy like after we do this, but we just have to do it. You know what I mean? And the freelancer's like, you know what? I agree with you, right? And he's like, if we both make it out of this, I'm getting out of the game after this. I don't want to, I don't want any more to do with this kind of thing. I've realized I've grown, and you know what? We're just gonna finish this off and just be done with it. And the freelancer is like, well, we can worry about that after Halcyon is killed. And then the freelancer dies in Black Dusk, dude. They say we'll worry about that when Halcyon is finished, and they die when they die with Halcyon. Like that is so good. It's so good. It's actually so good, dude. Dialogue is so good. Like I don't know. I realize I'm repeating myself quite a bit because there's not like an insane amount happening in this cutscene, but like it's so well written, and it's really impressive to me. You know what I mean? I'm wondering like when exactly they had this written, because I know that they had, because it came out at the same time as Ashes, and Ashes, was the events of Ashes were described in the lock previously, so. We know that they already had Ashes written like a long time ago, but like whenever he wrote this Jackdaw dialogue, I don't know, man. Like a lot of the time, I can kind of tell when stuff is just being tacked on at the end. Jackdaw did not feel tacked on at the end. It really felt like everything actually meant something for a little bit, And then Black Dusk happens, and then it's a fucking sick mission, And if you do it loud, you hear the fucking full force and this fucking awesome music, and it's like everything is coming to a big, like it has an impact. You know what I mean? It's like it almost, it's weird that it does, because it almost like is so well written that it like skips the character development part. You know what I mean? Like what I've been explaining, how I don't like how the game has so little development of the characters. It's like it just makes me feel it. You know what I mean? Like when I watch the cutscene, it's just, I understand there's not much structure surrounding it, but just the cutscene itself is just so well executed that I just don't even like need it. I'm just like fully with it. Like, yeah, you got me. I'm with you on this one, God. I just really like watching this cutscene. I really wish I could go back and watch this cutscene for the first time again, because that was just something else, man. That was something else. Yeah. This cutscene is peak. I don't think it's as good as the top two, but that really is not saying much, because this whole top three is like actually incredible. So yeah, let's, without further ado, go on to number 2. Retribution is everything that I have been asking for this entire time. When I was talking about the character development, and like there needs to be some more, building, showing like how we get to this point. Why are these characters so close? Why do these characters hate each other? All this kind of stuff. What's like the tension between these two? You know what I mean? This is what I was talking about, and this, I think. Obviously, I don't think it's the best cutscene in the entire game, but if we're talking about like what they could do in the future, this I think is the thing that they could most, and by they I mean Sashado. This is the thing I think Sashado could most use as kind of like a template for the kind of character development that I think that they're really good at. This is like the potential that I feel like the rest of the game had. Like I really wish there were more cutscenes like this, and there would have been in a more fleshed out story, but because the story is so short, it can really only have one cutscene like this, one big reveal, and so it's got to be this. But yeah, it does a really good job of what it does. And I want to make something clear. I'm not somebody that like cries watching this cutscene because it's like, oh my god, Rose, she was so, I can't even think of a word to describe her. But like, I don't know. It's more about the execution for me. It is more about the execution. I think that the reveal of her death was very good. Like the previous, the music was used super effectively, especially at this part right here, which I will show you. I really like how the music changes for that part, and how he kind of sort of looks down, and you're like, oh, what's about to happen? And then he leads them to the memorial for Rose. Like again, it's kind of dumb. It has dumb elements of the story, like not Retribution, but like the story itself has dumb elements. But it's just like this is a time where I just look past that. You know what I mean? Because it's so well executed. It's like it's so easy to follow and comprehensible. And I feel like it is also a moment where it kind of shows rather than telling. You know what I mean? Like kind of a lot, which I realize is honestly, I think I've mentioned that before, but it's not really that easy to do that with fucking Roblox characters because they can't really show very much emotion. But like, not everything about this cutscene is just directly put in front of your face for you to just see. You know what I mean? It's not made for like babies, right? But it's also still very comprehensible. And I like that a lot. I like, what it means for both the characters. I like how it kind of like adds some sort of, strain to their relationship that they ultimately, are able to move past when they realize, I guess Jackdaw already realizes it, but the freelancer realizes that, Jackdaw's not really that different from him after all, So, they end up becoming a lot closer later on, but like at this point in the story, it's like, it's just such a nice, like, moment of actual emotion in the characters. Like the characters are showing actual emotion. You know what I mean? Which isn't that really, it's not really that often. Like for a story that, seems to be as character driven as it is, the characters don't really seem to feel that much. We're more so just kind of told what they're feeling, and we're like, okay, I guess if he's feeling like that, then he's going to do this. But it's not really like shown exactly why. I don't know. At Retribution, it establishes a clear motive for the freelancer if they didn't have one already. Previously, I guess you could say, I don't know. I guess maybe it could have been better if the freelancer was like more actively like wanting to quit, but like I still think it serves its purpose, fine. Even though the freelancer, they don't show any intentions of quitting, but just to make sure, Jackdaw has to use Rose's death as kind of like a way of being like, we're gonna go get them together. You know what I mean? Like we can't just let them get away with this. And I don't think the freelancer is unaware of Jackdaw's manipulation either. I think that the freelancer is, how do I say this? I think that they, are kind of willing to disregard their issues with Jackdaw as a person because they have a common enemy. You know what I mean? But, the way that ultimately builds into an actual, like, real sort of, like, friendship with one another, mutual respect for one another, I think is really cool. And I just really wish that was, like, more sort of, there's more development there. But, I guess Retribution is pretty much the best that I can ask for. And honestly, I'm satisfied with it. I think it's a really good cutscene. I think it's executed really well. I think the dialogue is really good. And I think that it, is probably one of the most important cutscenes in the game because it establishes, the motive for everything that happens after it. And there's a lot that happens after it, right? I mean, not a lot like content-wise, but like the things that happen after it are pretty important because they're directly attacking Halcyon and whatnot. It's just it's good. It's good. And looking back on it, I can remember feeling like I don't know. I don't know if I quite felt sad. I think that I maybe kind of felt like I had to feel sad because it like the story was kind of telling me to feel sad, which is not really a good thing. But I don't really direct that criticism toward Retribution itself. I think it was more so just like, it was a weird feeling of kind of like I haven't really been like super engaged with the story so far, but at this point I'm just kind of like I almost forget about that. You know what I mean? I might have said that already, but like it's a kind of a common thing with these really good cutscenes where I kind of just forget about all the criticisms for a minute and just kind of appreciate what I'm taking in. And it's like it's really good execution. So yeah, I like Retribution quite a bit. I think it is one of the best cutscenes in the game, but not the best. There's one that I think is better, and if you are a real Entry Point fan like me, you will know what it is already because there's not that many cutscenes, but I'm going to reveal it like you don't know anyway. The best cutscene in Entry Point is Ashes is a fucking fire cutscene, dude. This shit is so good. And it's really good because I was anticipating it for so long. Because it says in the lock, I forgot what lock file. I think it was the Financer's lock file, where it talks about it does the reports of Phoenix attacks on Halcyon, and one of them is Jackdaw held one of our characters at gunpoint, and then they made him deliver a message to the director, and it was the same date as Ashes, and it's like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, what if Ashes is that? And then we saw it, and it was that, and finally our theories were right for once. It wasn't my theory, by the way. I wasn't the one that came up with that, but just like being told that and still being able to anticipate that. It was just beautiful. It was just perfect. And it was like, man, I just love this cutscene. I love the dialogue. I love the dialogue between Rose and the Freelancer. It's so casual. It's so nice. I love the way that Jackdaw, introduces himself. This is the first time Jackdaw and the Freelancer meet. This is the first time chronologically that Jackdaw has any dialogue, actually. I guess unless you count the confession file. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really totally sure why they left this cutscene until so much later. Like, I honestly, like I get the anticipation, was good, right? And I already said that, but like, getting this earlier, I think would have been actually better for the story because it's such a good cutscene. You know what I mean? And it's such a good introduction. What does that mean? Introduction to Jackdaw, right? Like, I feel like maybe getting it before dedication would have worked because then it's kind of like, well, I don't know. I guess they wanted us to think that we were kind of like in contact with Phoenix already, but like, I don't know. I feel like it would have been better to get Ashes before dedication because, then it's like, whoa, we're meeting Jackdaw again, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess that's just my opinion. Obviously, Shadow didn't want us to like kind of guess like everything. They kind of wanted the story to be like a mystery. But honestly, it almost felt like they didn't have enough trust in themselves to make it like hard to figure out. You know what I mean? They just had to make it like impossible to figure out by just putting everything out of order. Like I don't really know how I feel about that, but still, Ashes is a great cutscene. I really just wish we got it sooner because it would have got me more hyped. Because I mean, at the end when we were about to get Black Dusk, we already got Jackdaw, so that was enough to get me hyped for that. But like, Ashes is just so good. It's just so fun to watch. Like ultimately, I wouldn't say that it's like necessarily as important as some of the other ones, but I just had to put it above Retribution and Jackdaw and Halcyon and Dedication because just watching it is just so like satisfying. You know what I mean? And just like the foreshadowing in it of like get out while you're still breathing. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's just a weird instance of like it being exactly as I expected it to be was perfect for it. And I was like, I'm finally getting to see this in person. You know what I mean? And just like, well, not in person, but I wasn't there, guys. I wasn't there watching it. I only watched it on the screen, but you know what I mean. Like it's just so satisfying to get that conclusion. And obviously it was a setup from Froze and Jackdaw were working together. I don't think she actually got called back to TO. I think they were just setting up the meeting for Jackdaw and the freelancer. That might have been mentioned in the confession file, but I don't remember. I'm guessing that that's what that was. But like, I don't know. I think what I really like about this cutscene and the others that were like right before it is that they show what I think a lot of the rest of the story is missing, and that is just some good, like, not like filler dialogue, but just like characters like knowing each other and like getting to know each other. You know what I mean? Like sometimes just a good conversation between two friends is just the best possible kind of dialogue. You know what I mean? And a conversation between the freelancer and Rose, I just have such an appreciation for it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I realize that it's probably appearing right now as though I don't really have a very good argument for this being number one. And that is because I don't really have a good argument for it being number one. It's really mostly just because it was so fun to watch. But you know what? Fuck you. It's my list. So I'm putting it at number one anyway. I think it's the best cutscene in the game. It's the best to watch. It was the best at the time. It's the best now. It has the best music. It has the best dialogue. Maybe. Jackdaw actually probably has better dialogue. But whatever. There's more going on in Ashes. It's just like, fuck you. I don't have to explain myself to you, asshole. I can put whatever I want at number one. I could have put fucking Prelude at number one and you wouldn't be able to stop me. Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say. That was my ranking of the cutscenes. I've been really talking a lot more about Entry Point's story recently. Not necessarily like super recently, but like, I don't know. It gets brought up. Sometimes just people just having questions like, I don't really understand like why they did this, or like why didn't they just do this instead? And just every time we have conversations like that in FSC, it's really like reminds me about how much appreciation I have for the story. Again, even though I don't even really like it that much, I bet nobody believes me when I say that. I've probably said that like 10 times and not a single person believes me because I don't even know how long this video is. I just made this whole video talking about it. Like, nobody believes that I don't like this story, but I promise you, I don't like it. I think that it could definitely be improved in a lot of places. But it is, it was a big part of my life. Not was, it still is a big part of my life. And Sashado is like my favorite Roblox developer right now. Maybe my favorite game dev that I'm following, like, in general. So, like, I really just want more of that feeling that I got back in the day when I was following the Entry Point story as it was coming out. I want more of that. You know what I mean? And I think Sashado knows that the community has matured a little bit, and we're going to need a little bit more, and we're going to need to improve the writing a little bit. And I think they're going to do it, and I'm confident that they will. I believe in Sashado fully that they will make 10 cutscenes and operators that are better than Ashes. But like, as of right now, I just wanted to go back and sort of revisit these ones. And again, just sort of look towards the future. Like, what are the exact things that they need to keep? What do they need to let go? What do they need to improve on? That's mainly the reason that I'm making this video. And I'm really excited for Operators. Obviously, it's not coming anytime soon because Freelancer's Cut has to finish first. But still, like, I I really enjoy going back to these cutscenes, and it left me wanting more content from Sashado, like, because it didn't really make me change my mind to the story overall. Could be better, but it definitely sort of revitalized an appreciation that I have for Sashado as a developer and as a writer. And so, you know, I guess that's kind of the point of this video. It's an appreciation post for Sashado. So I guess I'm just glazing is what the kids would call it. But yeah. Anyway, I don't really have much more to say about this, but let me know if I should make more videos talking about the entry point story. I don't have really too much to say about it. I really only talk about it when other people bring it up, so I can have a back and forth conversation. But if there's anything that that should be talked about that hasn't been talked about yet, let me know. I guess because I'm kind of like a lore expert, kind of like a scholar of the Sashado files. Oh, not the Sashado file. No, sorry. Not the Sashado files. The lock file, like entry point lore. Was not trying to make an Epstein reference there, but anyway, yeah. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. See ya.